the Jeff Meacham Network's multiverse of media. For over 15 years, the recognized symbol of excellence and the standard bearer in coverage of sports and entertainment.
Hello there. Good grief. That's what we get for trying to sleep for a couple hours, I guess, this morning, huh? Welcome to this breaking and ever-developing news story within the world of wrestling across the Jeff Meacham Network Multiverse of Media. We are live on the Constantine Studios, the Greg Cherry brand, and the Jeff Meacham Network YouTube, as well as my Facebook Jeff Meacham Network page, across our tweeters, and even on my Instagram, because that's how StreamYard rolls now. I am Jeff Meacham. He is the Renegade JJ Williams, and normally JJ would be getting ready for Love of Wrestling with his Raw review in about 20 minutes, but Raw had a much bigger news story develop in the last 2 hours than it did anything that happened last night. So,
aside from Punk and Cody,
which was a damn good promo.
Image, damn it, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you know, everybody has a plan to get punched in the face. We went from having, discussing Cody and Punk's promo battle, or you were going to about 20 minutes, to having, this. And these are two pretty big deals at the end of the day. So we figured, okay, let's see if anybody wants to go live. Let's see. And by the way, if you would like to join us here on screen on the Jeff Meacham Network Multiverse of Media and across our socials, $10 super chat, either channel, doesn't matter. We'll go ahead and get that banner going momentarily. Yeah, it's been like I said, I think I fell asleep roughly between 3 and 3:30 this morning. I was up, just, it's one of those, I have trouble sleeping anyway, and I couldn't fall asleep, and I was getting ready, because today's a celebration for us Hulk Hogan fans, because it's 40 years of Hulkamania today. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to binge this today. We're going to do our thing, and, like I said on my Twitter post, can't do nothing. I can't even sleep for a couple hours. So the first thing that broke that I saw was, and I think they went out roughly the same time, but we'll go ahead and, break them down one at a time, because that's what we got to do. We can't talk about two things simultaneously. But they're very much tied in together. It was announced that beginning in January next year, so we have a whole year to ponder this nonsense, the flagship show of WWE, Monday Night Raw, for the first time in its history, will not be broadcast across traditional television mediums. It is going exclusively across Netflix, which means you have to pay to watch Monday Night Raw as of next January. WWE's made a lot of interesting television moves in the last few months. They announced that SmackDown is going to return to USA Network. It was there briefly during the 2000s. They announced that the NXT brand is moving to CW. And now the show, the show that has been the juggernaut for over 30 years, is now going to be a Netflix property in the United States, in Canada, and in a lot of regions of the world. What say you about this, sir?
Forgive me, I was trying to put a tweet out regarding the cancellation of the show today.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
I'm excited and nervous. I'm excited because of the fact that, in theory, and no, we're not talking about A-Town Down, but in theory, this means that we West Coasters should now be able to get all Raws at 5 o'clock when it's live. We no longer have to run the risk, and yes, I'm going to bust his balls if he comes in the chat room. We no longer have to run the risk of people like Josh Mansfield or the ever-popular former associate of the Casa, Chris Hardy, spoiling Raw as it happens. Those days will be long gone for us West Coasters. The other thing that intrigues me, And I don't know if this is something that's being thought of by people. Granted, this is still very much in the toddler stages of news coming out and people discussing it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't been able to even turn on my television to
Yeah.
see what the other know-it-alls are saying about the topic right now.
Yes.
Is this going to change the rating of the show? Now
Right.
that we're going to be on Netflix and not be constricted by television basic cable regulations,
Right.
are we going to see a more AEW-esque, ECW-esque in verbal promos
Right.
side of WWE, a little bit more towards the Attitude Era?
You know?
Because they no longer have to answer to sponsors.
Right.
We're going to get commercial-free Raw.
Right.
We might even be
In
able
theory,
to get
in theory.
down, in theory, because Netflix doesn't usually run commercials.
Right.
We may be able to get Raw back down to 2.5 hours.
Oh, wouldn't that be the
Because
greatest
of
thing
the
of all
fact,
time?
because of the fact that there's no longer commercials that they have to stretch for.
That's fair. That's a
They
fair
don't
point.
have to answer to those advertisers.
Yes, exactly.
So these are the things that are going through my head.
Yeah.
And I know we'll get to the second part of the topic here momentarily, but I just have to share this. I had my daughter roll her window up at me this morning when I mentioned The Rock joining the board of directors at TKO, because I pointed out that means that now he truly is the head of the table.
I was gonna say it went across Twitter, and I had to crack up. I'll
And
really put Virtue.
she hit the button, the window
said,
went
"Nope."
up, and I'm like,
He said,
but
"Nope."
it's the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
And that's our buddy Ron taught us: the truth will set you free.
But yeah, it's
But
a crazy time. And again, to reiterate, if anybody that is coming into the chat room would like to come on screen and discuss this with us, $10 super chat, either of our channels, we will shoot you the link and you can come on the air with us and discuss this.
yeah, it's one of those things. You know, I saw it a few times. I'm waiting for the promo now, because let's go ahead and talk about The Rock, who, by the way, owns that trademark now as part of this deal. He is now on the board of directors at TKO Group Holdings, the for lack of a better term, the parent company of WWE and UFC, or the merged company name under Endeavor. So it's been a joke made a few times now that the promo's right there if they go to WrestleMania. You're at the head of the table. Hell, you don't even have a seat at the table, because The Rock's at the table. He's at the board table now. So that's just waiting for it to be said. But man, you think, and I actually just turned off Dwayne appearing on First Take on ESPN. I happened to catch it. He happened to pop in before we went live. So luckily we got lucky in that respect. A lot of cool chatter with him and Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharp and everybody on that show. It was just a super cool thing. And again, you think about this guy that, you know, his dream was to be in the NFL. You know, that was the dream, because, you know, when he was growing up, his dad was, you know, making pennies on the dollar, you know, barely clearing $100,000 a year. And now he's on the board of directors of the company that, you know, runs WWE. What a, you know, Punk and Cody, you know, joked around, you know, during their promo. It was very serious, but it came off in almost a joking manner. That, bless you, my goodness.
Thank you.
No, you're good. That, you know, Punk's the real American dream. Dwayne Johnson's story is the American dream. My goodness. Very, very cool. So Yes. Again, we're not talking about that one just yet because that's not substantiated by anybody in WWE or by the Rainmaker himself. But I'm sure we'll talk about Okada more on Saturday if things develop further. But man, it's like a chat's been saying, Jay. We're 23 days into this year. Okada's leaving New Japan. Nick Nemeth in TNA and in New Japan as well. Now we've got The Rock on the board of the overseeing company, the parent company. And Raw's going to Netflix. On top of this day being a celebration, if you're a fan, of 40 years of Hulkamania. Wrestling. Pump the fucking brakes.
Yes.
Just a smidge.
But of course, as we all know, there's somebody in the chat room who feels that Hogan did nothing for the business.
Well,
and you
right.
can find that column on nodq.com.
I think it's still there. I'm pretty sure they didn't take it down. But yeah, it's a crazy thing. I mean, I think of everybody that appears on our streams on the regular. Maybe Walter's been watching as long as I have, or around the same time. Aaron's been watching longer than I have because he was watching around the time of WrestleMania 3 and 4. But this is by far the strangest, most unexpected series of news reports in such a short span of time of me watching. You know, I'm going back. If people are aware, I don't know if they're not are aware or not. And I'm binging the stuff I was first watching in 1999 into February of 1991, and I just go, man, it's crazy how much it's grown and how much everything has changed. It was so just even when I first started watching it was already a national phenomenon, and it was really starting to become this global presence that they've had. And now, you know, again, WWE is getting $5 billion for 10 years. You remember, WWE signed a deal with Fox for 5 years for $2 billion back in 2019. That deal is up in the fall season this year. Of course, they're moving. They are moving SmackDown to USA Network in the fall season. But $5 billion with a B dollars over 10 years. That's unheard of money in wrestling. It's unheard of money in a lot of businesses. We're being honest. It's absolutely crazy to me that would be a thing. So, and again, you know, the chatter with the wrestling fans now, of course, moves to, okay, it's very heavily discussed during his appearance on First Take, and Dwayne all but said it's going to be him and Roman. You know, it's like, if we do this, if we, you know, a lot of ifs, because, you know, he's not going to say it, but he's going to make sure that gets announced when it's supposed to get announced.
Right.
But man, if any one single news day ever proved our point, Jay, of this match doesn't need the WWE Championship, this is the day. The Rock has literally sat at the head of the table on the board that runs this company.
Yeah.
And Roman and Paul, storyline-wise, are caught flat-footed. I think that's just, and you know, Josh brings up a very valid point. As wrestling fans, against Nick Khan, this outsider, he is proving time and time again there was a reason the crazy old man brought this person into WWE. For all this shit we give Vince McMahon, as much as we're saying thanks be for Nick Khan, let's be real. Vince McMahon is the one that hired Nick Khan.
Yep.
Now, well, you know, he knew he was in deep shit. He needed to have a have somebody run the company. Okay. Still picked a hell of a brilliant dude to do it. Everything's developing so fast in this year. And again, with WWE almost completely moving off of traditional television platforms, these networks are going to start looking for wrestling content because wrestling's never been hotter.
Mm-hmm.
Got TNA, looking like their deal's up with AXS Television this year. Like he said on Open Mic Night, man, that's the world is wrestling's oyster. What a time! What a time, man. I know you physically you're under the weather, but man, as a fan of the content creator about this stuff, you got to be whatever blood you can get flowing in this ridiculous cold front we're dealing with and the illness, man. You got to be jonesing over here like I am.
Yeah, I'm definitely chomping at the bit. We have been talking for the better part of the last 2 years, ever since Open Mic Night came into its inception, really.
Yeah.
That ratings aren't what they used to be.
Right.
That streaming is the way of the future.
Yes.
And I think this proves that. WWE taking the opportunity to move its flagship show to Netflix. Arguably one of the leaders in streaming, the originators in streaming.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And it's just going to be very interesting to see how this all develops going forward. What the regulations are.
Yeah.
I see you started a comment. Thank you, Josh. I appreciate that. I see that you started a comment about everything going to Netflix. You have to remember, we're still going to have content on the USA Network.
Yeah.
SmackDown is still going to be on USA.
Yeah, it's moving. Yeah.
So there's no reason to move all the WWE content. It's only Raw that's going to be on Netflix. Right. NXT is going to the CW network, which I'm very much looking forward to because that just means more exposure for my NXT.
And they'll likely put it on the app too, which it'll join the NWA on the CW app. So again, everybody's a moving.
Mm-hmm. The CW, which is owned by, at least partially by the TNT, the same people, Time Warner Discovery.
Yeah, Warner Bros. Discovery. Yep.
So nothing happens to OVW wrestling. That ain't shit anymore. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to sound rude, but there's no TV deal. That's not WWE developmental anymore.
I think he's referring to the Netflix series Wrestlers that they're producing with in conjunction with OVW.
That's not what he says. He says what happens to OVW wrestling.
I know. I'm just making conjecture.
So I'm saying what I'm seeing.
Okay, fair enough.
If you would like to clarify what he meant, we can address it proper. But OVW wrestling, nothing happens to that.
Okay, fair enough. There you go. Taking a page out of Noah's book from Walter. There you go. I mean, they are like you've got every company on some sort of streaming platform, and then like I'm doing or like Noah's doing, you can watch TNA on YouTube Insiders for $1 a month.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm here for it, man. I am. Yeah, and that was a point that Dylan and I got into. Not he got into. It's not like we were fighting. We were discussing it this morning before he went to school about, WWE Network, from what it sounds like, Raw, as JJ said, Raw is the only one that's going to Netflix for sure. That much we know for sure. Whether it develops into WWE Network migrating itself to the platform is a whole other thing. A lot of my friends in Canada and the UK, as Tim is here, have enjoyed the freedom they still retain of having WWE Network separately as its own entity.
Yeah.
That Netflix has a lot of money to throw in that WWE money pot.
Hell yeah.
So I don't foresee them turning it down if the price is right and if the distribution rights are appropriate. WWE won't hesitate. Like, okay, bye. Yep, this is what we're doing. WWE Network on Netflix now, and that will be, I know, problematic for a lot of people. At least over there, across the way, and up in the Great White North.
See,
and
I just checked something because my daughter pointed this out to me at drop off today, and I wasn't aware of this. So,
okay,
I had to double check it just to. Did you know? Because I did not. That beginning with the December 29th, 2023 episode, every episode of SmackDown is now on Disney Plus.
Well, I owe Dylan an apology.
December 29th, 2023, January 5th, 2024, January 12th, 2024, and last week's January 19th, 2024 are all on Disney Plus.
Is it through the Hulu hub or is it on its own?
No, it is in Disney Plus. I went to Disney Plus. I started typing in WWE and there was a thing for SmackDown.
Wow, I owe Dylan a huge apology when I had to get him after school.
So this means that Pretty Deadly are now Disney princesses. Her joke, not mine.
No, that's fair. No, that's fair.
Her joke, not mine.
Hey,
I mean,
I was joking.
It say included with your Hulu subscription.
But that's what it is.
Those 4 episodes are on there.
That's crazy.
So not only is all this,
and there you go.
Going on,
there you go. Room shot from the drummer. There you go. Thank you, Colin.
So not only do we have SmackDown going to USA, not only do we have NXT going to the CW, not only do we have WWE now going to Netflix, but because of the Fox deal, which I'm assuming is going to be, only go until October, there's now WWE SmackDown on Disney Plus. And no, that does not make Mommy the evil queen because she's on Raw, not SmackDown. Sorry, Matthew.
Oh, well, it should.
But it does make Roman Reigns a Disney villain.
Well, I mean,
more dastardly than Scar, if we're being real.
Yeah, because he's violated more of his family than Scar did. That's true. That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I mean, like I said, the possibilities are now completely endless. Yeah. So, Colin, I went to Disney Plus and literally typed in the letters WWE, and you have to scroll down a little bit on the search results, but SmackDown on Fox is there. For what it's worth, that's crazy shit.
Colin, do you have Hulu as well?
Okay.
Because on mine, it says underneath play, it says included with your Hulu subscription. So if you don't have Hulu, then it may not be popping up. But I literally just put in WW, and that was the first thing that popped up, and then there were like 4 National Geographic things.
That's funny.
World War II.
Well, yeah.
Because WW. So
those are actually really good episodes, by the way. Anybody wants to watch it. It was nothing to do with this show, but good stuff. Anyway,
and again, to reiterate, because a lot of people don't pay attention to the ticker. If you guys would like to come on the air and discuss this with us, $10 super chat to either of our channels. We will send you the link. You can come on the air and discuss this with us because this is major news.
no, it is. It absolutely is.
You're not going to get the ability to do that on any of the other YouTubers that are doing a show right now. They're not going to give you the opportunity to come on the show. At best, you can call in and you might get to hear your voice. We will give you the link and you can come on the air and discuss with us.
That's it. It ain't Friday. I ain't got shit to do, and my kid's at school. So there you go. I'm good to go.
I did have shit to do. I had a Rock and Cody, freaking Punk and Cody segment.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that because
for starters, did anybody else notice that when Cody entered the arena, the truck that he walked by had Eddie Guerrero and Dusty Rhodes on it? Like Dusty was looking over his shoulder. Did anybody else catch that?
I got it.
Sure as hell did.
I saw it. Like I said, we are definitely renewing our ties to the past with everything going on. They made a very emphatic point about this is Punk's first televised match since the Royal Rumble, where he walked out the next night. This very much made a big deal last night on commentary. What they did last night, I think, was really special. It was a really cool moment as a fan. People were getting on my ass yesterday during Talk Wrestling about Punk and about, the other people I've criticized and gotten sideways with over the years. I saw
that, and I came to your defense in my chat because at the end of the day, and I firmly stand by this, why should I spend my hard-earned money on somebody who comes off like they don't appreciate me spending my hard-earned money on them? If you are at and I won't say the bottom level, but if you are at a level where you are scratching and clawing to try to get noticed, and somebody tries to give you the time of day, and you proverbially shit on them, I'm not going to want to buy your merch.
No.
I'm not going to want to pay to see a show that you're on.
Nope.
And if I do pay to see a show that you're on, best believe I'm not paying to see you. I'm paying to see the rest of the cast. It's very much to tie it to movies. It's very much the way I feel when it comes to someone like a Will Ferrell. Never been a huge fan of his. Yes, I'll sit here and say, I like this movie, this movie, his. But it's not him in the movie that I like. It's the supporting cast that I like.
Yeah. I've become more of a Will Ferrell the person fan at King's Games, but his movies kind of are what they are, for the most part. There are a few gems, but like you said, there's very much bolstered by the supporting cast. So,
honestly, my favorite Will Ferrell movie is the Lego Movie.
Oh yeah,
you don't even see him until the very end.
Exactly.
He's the voice of Mr. Business throughout the entire movie, but it's not until the very end where you see him and you realize why the kid has Mr. Business be the way he is. That really kind of like, oh, damn, okay. This just got deep all of a sudden in this computer animated kids Lego movie.
Right. And Matthew, I didn't ignore your promo about your promo. Wow, I'm focused on the Cody Punk thing. Your comment about Hogan. Like I said, that's why I had the Meet Mania shirt on today. When I was going to go out to lunch with my friend. I'm ready to celebrate it, brothers. Just Without a doubt. And again, we're going to go off a little bit into the weeds. That seems to be the SNL thing. These people that are on SNL do so well when they've got the SNL bolstering up, for lack of a better term. But when they go off to do their own thing, it's kind of like it's very hit and miss with most of them. Will's a great example of that. But anyway. So WWE should have done what a deal with YouTube or just did what TNA did with their YouTube channel. Well, okay. So this is where I think this is a great case study comment of being a fan versus really understanding the business.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anybody's that doesn't get it, because it's pretty simple to understand. TNA did what they did with their service because they've never been able to get a sustaining platform.
Yeah.
Like they had Spike, but that was really it as far as that they've been with long term. Whereas, WWE has been on USA for all but 5 of its 31-year existence. Whereas, AEW has a permanent home within the Warner Brothers, Discovery, Turner, or whatever you want to call it, family. TNA did what they had to do to make sure they had visibility. And yeah, it's $1 a month. WWE doesn't have to lower their asking price. Clearly, $5 billion for 10 years. It's a little bit more than $1 a month. Just a smidge. So, you don't have to do that. Yeah,
I'm curious as to why, Mikey. Why don't you like this idea of Raw on Netflix?
You know what? Hang on a second. I have a feeling we're not going to cover this a hell of a whole lot on the sports bar, because there's plenty of sports news to go around today, luckily. So, Mikey, the link is in your inbox.
And for the record, we're allowing Mikey to come in without a super chat because he is a member of the Jeff Meacham Network Multiverse of Media family.
Yes, he's
As a matter of fact, you can check out Stat Boy Sports Bar later on today, 3 o'clock Pacific, 6 o'clock Eastern, where he will be giving all of the updates from the week in professional sports. And I get where you're coming from, Daniel, but Netflix has a ton of great original content. Take it from a movie guy. They've got some good series, and they've got some great original content.
As JJ promoted, coming into the chat room now, as you'll see him back at his new time slot, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 Pacific today, across the Jeff Meacham Network and the Cassian Studios. Welcome in, Stat Boy.
Good morning, good afternoon. What? Wow.
Good evening and good night.
Mike Cena, because I can barely see him in the shadows there.
Well, it's breaking news, so I really didn't have enough time to get the studio set up right. So, you wake up from a late night, coming home from work and whatever, blah blah blah, and I'll get it fixed by the time Sports Bar is up. I promise. I'll fix the lighting. I will.
I can be ready to go if needed to.
Okay, but I'm also trying to keep.
What is the issue? Why don't you like the idea of Raw on Netflix?
I don't see Netflix as a sports entertainment streaming service. I've always seen it as movies, and they started to bring in series that I would actually watch. But when I first think of Netflix, I think of the movies. I don't truly think of it as a sports entertainment platform like WWE Network was, and when it went over to Peacock. Like I say, I'm hoping that I change my tune on this. Plus, unfortunately, I am probably one of the few people that do not have a Netflix account. So now I have to go out and put in an extra payment of some kind just to see Monday Night Raw. Sure, I can go on YouTube and I can watch the clips, and I can go to WWE.com and get the stories. But if I actually want to sit down and enjoy it right now, or in a year from now anyway, because this isn't going to happen until January 2025. So that's okay.
Right.
So I've got a year to put some money together.
Yes.
There are people out there in the world that don't have Netflix, that don't like Netflix. They just can't either afford it, or they don't want it, or they're perfectly happy with every other streaming service there is, because let's face it, there are tons of them. Hulu, Netflix, Paramount Plus, everything is streaming. And, it's been a long time since I've actually sat down and watched network television, your CBSs, your NBCs, your ABCs, ESPN, and all that good stuff. So it's just one more added monthly bill that you have to throw in right now. Like I said, I'm hoping to change my take on this. Let's say by January 2025, my situation changes and I can afford it. Of course, if I'm going to be home, I'm going to watch the show, because things happen in wrestling, So it's not I'm totally against it. It's just a dislike. It's not, this is the worst idea ever, which it isn't, or the worst announcement ever. WWE has done a lot worse in their stories and everything else. It's just a small dislike. That's all it is.
So I understand your initial thing about Netflix is primarily an entertainment presentation, not a sports presentation.
Right.
Would you agree that Disney Plus would be primarily a entertainment platform as far as Disney television shows, Disney movies, that sort of thing?
I can agree to that, yes.
Okay. So when Disney Plus has the opportunity to showcase its sister network, ABC and ESPN, and their sports, they shouldn't do that.
That's where that gray area comes into play. I get that Disney, ABC, and ESPN are all one big family.
And Hulu.
And Hulu too. It's like these families just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and you just want to focus on one, and then you get everything else. So
and same thing on Paramount. Paramount is a movie and television name,
right,
for lack of a better term. But CBS is in that family. CBS has sports. CBS is NFL football.
Exactly. Yes.
Peacock. NBC Sports has been hell. I'm on this Hogan binge last night and this morning for the anniversary of Hulkamania. Bob Costas introducing Piper and Hogan in Madison Square Garden. From NBC Sports, NFL 84. It's like, there you go.
Indeed.
So I understand your basic approach to it, but as you said, you're open to the idea. And I think if you look back in the history of the networks and the way the corporate structure has changed, unfortunately, everything's corporate now. There is no more mom and pop that's going to be a dominant thing. Hell, the WWE isn't even a family business anymore.
Nope.
Hasn't been for almost a year.
The worst streaming site to watch wrestling on is Hulu. I'm sorry. I never liked that idea. I tried watching it, and they're cutting out content. They're cutting out certain things.
Okay, that's only if you watch it later.
Right.
If you watch Hulu Live, you get the entire presentation, because I watch pretty much all my wrestling except for Impact TNA on Hulu Live.
Yep. But again, Hulu Live is also an added expense that a lot of people don't have either.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, and getting things live is a lot better, because then then you don't get that watered down stuff. That's a tease for later on today on Sports Bar, by the way. There is a story coming in about live versus tape, which might be a bit touchy, but we'll get to that part later. Anyway.
And I don't know if you were here at the outset of the stream, but that's one of the things I said that I was looking forward to about it going to Netflix, is because us West Coasters now should be able to start getting Raw at 5 o'clock, as it's 8 o'clock Eastern.
Yep.
And I know he wasn't in the chat room earlier, so I will rib him once again. And then we avoid people like Josh spoiling stuff in the chat rooms.
Yeah. Time
Yes.
zones are a big problem when it comes to wrestling.
No, it is.
Like, he's been very good when it comes to our chat rooms. And I'm giving you credit, Mansfield. but there's also the other chat rooms where they allow that type of thing. And I just have to try to mentally remind myself to mute those conversations. Sometimes I forget.
Right.
But this now eliminates that problem, I'm sure, because we should be getting it when everybody else gets it. Plus, with it being on a streaming service, one would have to assume we'd get it commercial free.
That sounds
There's usually no ads in streaming, at least on a platform like Netflix. Hulu Live, yes, we still get commercials.
Right.
But Netflix, you never get a commercial.
That is tough. You know, I mean, the whole commercial free thing can be tricky because let's face it, if you're watching a show, let's face it, you got to get up at some point unless you have the anatomy of a god, and you know you got to get up at some point. You got to stretch. You got to go to the restroom. You got to get a drink of water. You got to do something like that. That's the only problem I see with commercial free.
That's why you get all that stuff before your show starts, man. It's just like going to a movie theater. If I can sit through 3 hours of Avengers Endgame without having to go take a liaki, I can sit through WWE Raw.
Speaking of liaki, Mikey, you were watching First Take as I was.
Yes, I was.
How about The Rock, man? What are your thoughts on Dwayne?
I'm very happy for The Rock. Congratulations on becoming on the board of directors. There's only one step higher for him, and that's Hall of Fame. But that's going to happen eventually. We know that's going to happen. He's an executive now, so he deserves it. He's put in the work, so good for him. I did not like the teasing between Rock and Roman. I did not like that part, because I understand, but I get it. He wants it to cook. He wants it to build. He wants it to be done right. I get it. The fans just need to it's like smoking a brisket out here in Tennessee. Okay, you gotta let the damn thing smoke. You gotta let it cook. Otherwise, you're gonna have the bloodiest cut of beef ever, and it's gonna be crap. So get it, okay? Let it cook. Let it work. Let them work it out, and it will happen. You just don't. If it doesn't happen at WrestleMania 40, guess what? The Rock is going to get, and you can now say The Rock because he owns it now. Genius. That was a great perk. It's his name. He is The Rock, no matter what.
All we need is just a little patience.
Exactly.
Not that I'm showing for Saturday or anything, but
and then
my ears are starting to bleed now.
The little joke there, The Rock almost shut down Stephen A, which I was loving. It's like, come on, Stephen A, how's it going to go if Paul Heyman is with Roman and you're with me? I don't want to see Stephen A on WWE programming.
I don't want Stephen A anywhere near fucking WrestleMania. Absolutely not.
He already bombed in baseball because he can't throw a ball to save his life. I mean, I could throw a baseball better from the pitcher's mound than he can. I'm not going to try anytime soon, but hey, no, him in a WWE arena. Oh my God, that's worse than Katie Vick.
Worse than what?
Worse than Katie Vick.
Oh, Katie Vick. No,
it's not Michael Vick. No,
there's nothing worse than Katie Vick.
Him.
There was probably no worse single storyline than Katie Vick.
But yeah, big
up
to The Rock. Good job for him. I love it.
It's very happy for DJ or whatever they were going to call him.
Yep.
Matthew makes a fair point. Anytime Stephen A. Smith gets shut up, we're all happy. Yes.
Well said, sir. Well said.
But we can hear more about Stephen A. Smith and all the sports folks this afternoon. Let me get rid of the banner real quick here so you can actually see the time plug, because Stop by Sports Bar is back in its permanent time slot. Even though it was only permanent for like 1 week before we had to change shit up. 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 Pacific tonight on the Casa and on the Jeff Meacham Network. From what I got in my inbox, we're going to be covering golf and college basketball, the NBA, the NHL, the PWHL, and of course the NFL divisional playoffs.
Indeed. I'll see you guys in about 6 hours. Until then, Stat Boy out.
Thank you, brother.
You're welcome.
Always good to see you. Okay.
And if you would like to do what Stat Boy just did, $10 super chat.
He's muy fácil. He's very simple. You just do the thing, push the button. He's push button. He's simple.
But yeah, to touch on something Stat Boy said, when he thinks in Netflix, he doesn't think of sports entertainment. And I get that. But we've also got a year to make people think about sports entertainment. WWE, when it comes to marketing and promotion, is a fucking juggernaut beast.
Second to none.
You know damn well that on NXT tonight, this is going to be mentioned. On SmackDown Friday, it's going to be mentioned. It'll be mentioned probably more than once during the Rumble. Matter of fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Dwayne makes an appearance at the Rumble just to say something about it. Then you figure WrestleMania, you're probably going to see Netflix signs everywhere. SummerSlam, Survivor Series. As they go global, Backlash in France, Bash in Berlin, they're going to have that Netflix marketing everywhere. There might even be a Super Bowl commercial talking about coming in January of 2025, WWE Raw will be on Netflix. Remember back in, 99 or 2000, the WWF commercial that aired during the Super Bowl?
Yep, 99, baby.
They might go as far as to do that. So don't think that they will sleep on the opportunity to make people realize that come next year, they will be on that platform.
They will make it known, no doubt about it.
Hell, bring Brock back and put fucking Netflix on his fight shorts.
Right, there you go. There you go. There'll probably be a lot of t-shirts.
Yeah.
That'd be my guess. That'd be my guess.
Do the mock-up of Raw is War, but have it be Raw is Netflix.
There you go. That's actually pretty good. I feel like that's good. Should
get that onto the Teespring before they can do it.
That's right. The JMN sub Netflix now. Gonna have to. Luckily, that's funny. It's so funny. I was talking about canceling Netflix, our subscription, like a month ago, because I don't ever use it. I never use it ever.
Here's something else to think about. Now that Raw is going to be on Netflix, are they going to migrate all of the WWE films to the Netflix platform? Is Dwayne going to have his extensive library on Netflix? He already has a deal with Netflix for original movies.
Yes, that's true. The one with him and Gal Gadot was on Netflix, right?
And Ryan Reynolds, yeah.
Ryan Reynolds, yeah.
It was all three of them. And there's already a sequel in the works.
No shit. Okay, there you go. See?
Almost as soon as that dropped and did record numbers, there was talk of a sequel.
It did. I remember you reviewed it on Renegades Reviews, and it was it did big business. So good for them.
Well, I mean, you had Black Adam, Deadpool, and Wonder Woman in a movie together.
Yes.
So,
and they're not exactly unattractive people, which always helps.
Especially Gal Gadot. Goddamn.
God damn. If anybody could succeed Linda Carter, Gal Gadot's on that shit.
Damn right. But so is this something that's going to be worked out? Now that Dwayne is on the board of directors, we're going to start seeing some of that happen. Like, I wouldn't mind logging into my Netflix and seeing a wrestling subsection and being able to find Mr. Nanny, Suburban Commando, They Live, Hell Comes to Frogtown, The Condemned, the Marine franchise, the 12 Rounds franchise,
Possibilities.
Legendary,
Yes.
the entirety, like I said, of Dwayne's movies, with the exception of maybe the Fast franchise, because there's a whole lot of red tape there. But at least maybe Hobbs and Shaw, which of course has, for all of about 10 minutes, our tribal chief, who we acknowledge.
Yes. Yes.
There's so much that can be done with this melting pot of chili. It's barely even, the fire's barely even been turned on. It hasn't even reached a simmer.
No.
You talked about patience on Saturday when it came to Seth's injury and seeing what was going on.
I did.
This could be the greatest pot of chili the wrestling world has ever seen.
Yeah.
If it's allowed to get to the boil, simmer properly, and has the right seasonings. Because again, Impact Wrestling is rebranded to TNA. Now we're calling their stuff PLEs and are supposedly partnering with Endeavor. Who's to say that USA time slot now can't be TNA Impact? And we talked ad nauseum about how you think about how this started almost 5 years ago for them. And this very easily could have been a 5-year plan. Now, I don't think at the outset 5 years ago they had any idea that the McMahons would sell WWE and any of that stuff. But as far as changing the thought process about their reputation, establishing themselves as the greatest women's division in the States, getting amazing contracted hires, and then getting a television deal that'll actually get their talent the exposure they deserve, very easily could have been part of a major 5-year plan.
Could have been.
And with WWE now migrating the flagship to Netflix, USA, for the first time since WWE went to Spike, is going to be wrestling-less.
SmackDown.
It was on at that time?
Oh, okay. Well, since the Spike thing, since TNN, yes.
Okay.
But since they moved back to US, sorry, I jumbled the words around in my head. I apologize. Yeah. And even then they had TNA for a while too during that time period.
USA did? I didn't know.
No. Spike. God damn, I'm all jumbled up. I'm reading the comments, trying to sort. I'm sorry. I apologize. For the first time since, so for the first time since they went to TNN in 2000, USA
is going to be WWE-less.
Right.
At least until SmackDown debuts in the fall.
Right. And I think those are going to overlap if I've got my
there's going to be a slight overlap. Yeah, but the flagship show is going to be gone.
Yes. And that's been for the first time since 2005. Yeah, that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy.
You will not be able to turn on wrestling on Monday night and find it on USA.
Yeah,
that's the point I was trying to get at.
Right.
I may not have been verbalizing properly, and if that was the case, I apologize. But
no, that was me.
The point I was trying to get at is that come January of next year, you are not going to be able to turn on USA on a Monday night and find wrestling.
which is bizarre to think about.
Unless we can get Impact over there, unless we can get, heaven forbid, supposedly come towards the end of the year, the deal with AEW and Turner is supposed to expire. And even though Turner touted great things about AEW, if they decide after 5 years they don't want wrestling again like they did with WCW, then they may need to look at USA. I feel like Impact would be the more realistic option because of the Endeavor.
Yeah, TNA would be, no.
Because, freaking having AEW and WWE on USA, I think would be conflict of interest.
Definitely. Another valid point. All the press releases we see have the WWE Raw logo, not the word Monday.
True.
Are they going to leave Monday nights? That's the other thing. Raw has never permanently left Monday. It's done the Thursday Raws or the Raw Saturday Live or whatever because of the dog show or the tennis or whatever on USA, but it's never made a permanent move away. Interesting to find out how they're going to lay that out in a year.
The only thing I could think of as far as a day jump that would make any sense would for them to do it on Sunday. The reason for that being is that Triple H, since he's taken over, seems to be awful big on allowing the talent to have family time. So you have SmackDown live on Friday, a house show or PLE on Saturday, Raw on Sunday, and Monday through Thursday they can have family time.
Okay. As far as the main roster, that'd be
Tuesday. You still got your NXT at the PC, but all those people pretty much live in the area anyways.
Right.
So it's not like they've got to be flying in from wherever they live.
No.
But you've got a 3-day Friday, Saturday, Sunday circuit. And instead of working, 330 days a year, 3 times 4 is 12. Times 12 is 144.
44. Yep. The only thing that conflicts with is the 2-night WrestleMania.
Not really, because Saturday, I'm sure you could do once a year, do a special Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
Yeah. I don't foresee them leaving Mondays, if we're being honest. I
don't either, but I'm just saying, like, if they were to move, that would be, in my opinion, the logical day, because then you go back to having Raw the night after the PLE.
Right.
Which that's been the one major weird thing for me with the PLEs being on Saturday now, is that you've got that day to like cool down before you go into the follow-up show. Yeah.
That's why the Raw after Mania felt so flat, because it was right after. It should have been a hot thing, and it was just kind of there last year. So that was very odd.
From what I understand, the last few years, it's just kind of been there. It hasn't really had the mystique.
Yeah, I think, and again, people are always going to blame the pandemic for the way the world is, and I don't disagree with it necessarily. But since the advent of the pandemic in 2020, and remember when they went back to WrestleMania in front of people in 2021, I don't think we were still having live audiences every week at that point. I could be wrong. I don't remember how that laid out. But, Raw after Mania 2022 didn't feel all that special, at least to me. 2023, I was not there, but a lot of our friends were, and it was just kind of like, oh, well, I'm glad I went to Mania instead, because it was Raw just kind of was there. So, and of course, 2020 was, in the Thunderdome. So, or not Thunderdome. I don't think they had Thunderdome set up at that point. It was just it was just at the PC. So, they've definitely felt lesser than, but we're also a year removed from the merger. Like literally the only reason the day after Raw was the day after WrestleMania was big last year was because they announced the merger. But Raw itself was just flat. So hopefully a year into this.
And a lot of why people felt it was flat is because people sensed McMahon in the cookie jar.
Yeah. And they were it
was very much a Vince McMahon booked Raw. Like, oh,
it felt that way. Yeah.
We just announced this major merger. We have to show people what we are. Let me get the book back. And just if the Raw after Mania felt like The Last Jedi coming off of the Force Awakens WrestleMania.
Yes. I will agree with that.
Here's J.J. Abrams, and he's set up this amazing story, and somebody else is coming in and he's taking over.
Yeah.
And then we got to try to play catch up to get things back on track for the Rise of Skywalker this year, which could very well be the Rise of Rhodes or the Rise of Punk instead of Skywalker. But that's very much what it felt like as far as an analogy goes. And that's not to say that there wasn't anything good that came out of that Raw. Just there wasn't anything good that came out of The Last Jedi. But when you compare, especially Night 1 of Mania, to that Raw after Mania, complete and utter what the fucks.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, when you think about, if I remember, J.J. Abrams got the director's chair back for Rise of Skywalker. Was that okay?
He had to basically try to fix everything.
And if you look at the time period between the merger and the news coming out, or the rumor innuendo coming out that Vince was being phased out of his power again, creative picked up big time.
Mm-hmm.
Other than the Bloodline storyline kind of petering out, it's definitely gotten better, to the point that we have a play-by-play man on Saturday who's looking forward to this show and actually is, dare I say, giddy about the Royal Rumble and Noah Foster. So, and that's from a 9-month build of, all right, getting our shit back together here. I like that. So hopefully that is the case that lays out on Saturday. And again, we're leading to it, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, across the multiverse for our Royal Rumble. But man, we got a whole bunch of shit in between now and then. Let's see where we're at here. Oh, first of all, if you missed JJ's review of SmackDown, Rampage, and Collision from over the weekend, yesterday morning, go check it out in the archives on the Castillo Studios. I unfortunately wasn't able to catch it, but I did catch it on demand. Good stuff as always from Mr. Williams.
Really quickly, while that graphic is up there.
Yes, sir.
Did anybody else notice the way Roman protected Randy's back?
I loved that. I thought that was really cool.
I made sure to address that yesterday, but you can see it very vividly there in the picture.
Yeah.
With the 18 months that he was out because of his back, you can see the way Roman is protecting him there.
Yep.
One of the many reasons why I will continue to acknowledge my tribal chief.
Even if he's moved down the table a couple seats down.
Hey, I didn't say the head of the table. I said my tribal chief.
I know that's why. Yeah, that's it.
And then, of course, I had to get the Bang Bang Scissor Gang doing the scissor to end off the segment. With Cardboard Juice Robinson in the corner watching on.
Favorite shit. Your teenage son's going, what the hell is happening? It's a moment in time, folks. It's a moment in time. But hey, the Gunn family is back together, by God. It's a beautiful family story. You love to see it.
Yes.
Speaking of family, of course, our brother, Stepboy Mike, Dory Lou, all the shenanigans, the craziness that is Stepboy Sports Bar, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, followed immediately, and then we do mean like as soon as they sign off, we going live with this. Dad's is on Tuesdays, at least for the moment with
Foreseeable.
for the foreseeable future with my son's schedule the way it be. Top 10 teams of the 21st century. So basically, January 1st, 2001 to now.
Today.
To today. That's right. And no, you're not going to see The Rock and Stephen A. Smith on that list because they shouldn't be a team. It's no, bad idea. Bad Rocky. Tomorrow, speaking of the Royal Rumble, the Greg Cherry Show will feature our annual Royal Rumble numbers draw this year, supporting the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. We'll have a special start time on that show, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 3:30 Pacific, on the Greg Cherry brand and the Jeff Meacham Network and the various Twix accounts, I believe. It may be on Facebook, Instagram too. We'll see how that goes. Thursday, of course, Meach's Musings. 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 Pacific. Probably going to talk more about this stuff, if I'm being honest. I don't have the graphic in here because it went away. I don't know why. JJ will have For the Love of Wrestling, talking about NXT tomorrow morning, unless some other shit falls out of the sky between now and then we got to go live again early tomorrow. Never know with WWE.
And then that last comment of yours is inaccurate.
What happened? What happened was. Oh, yes, that has actually been updated. We'll go ahead and give No DQ the plug. They're talking about this shit tonight on a special No DQ review, which is also a good reason why we decided to go live now, because we got stuff to do at 7 o'clock Eastern. So we was already booked. So yeah, For the Love of Wrestling tomorrow morning, talking about NXT. Thursday morning, talking about AEW Dynamite, whatever happens there. And Friday morning, talking about Impact, because we're still talking about TNA Wrestling on For the Love of Wrestling, as long as they hold JJ's attention through no surrender. So that was the deal. Then Friday, you and Noah, sir.
Yes, simply predicting all the discussion about the Royal Rumble. It looks like it's only going to be a 4-match show.
I'm here for that.
Title, the undisputed Universal title, and the 2 Rumble matches. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of conversation and speculation regarding who's going to win, possible returns, possible debuts. Going to be interesting to see.
And of course, predicting the Royal Rumble leads into watching the Royal Rumble.
Yes, the coverage itself. My favorite event of the year. Hopefully I'll be a lot better come then. But 3 o'clock Pacific, 6 o'clock Eastern, our coverage will begin across the multiverse of media.
Yes. Give you the big founder intro once I get my ass settled into the hotel in Vegas. Because as you guys are going live with Open Mic Night Saturday night after the Royal Rumble, hopefully at 8 o'clock, if they don't do a Tony Khan ridiculous long overrun.
Well, like I said, I totally expect them to go to about 8:30 our time.
Right, that's fair. That's fair.
But
very likely.
I don't expect them to go to 9.
Nah. But as you guys are settling in and starting that show, of course, I'll be out at the Santa Fe Station Hotel and Casino on January 27th, Saturday night, with Paradise Kitty as they do their thing. Gonna be a pretty cool turnout of people that live up there that are friends of mine or are coming up that aren't necessarily the Jeff Meacham wrestling fans. So
you
very
may
cool.
Also get an appearance from a certain show off who recently showed up.
You know, he's still not booked for Saturday. He's booked every other damn weekend, but he's not booked for this Saturday. I'm hoping he did it on purpose. I'm hoping it's by design. And I don't think AEW has anything going on Saturday except for Collision. I don't think Just Roberts does Collision. So Just Roberts is also a Paradise Kitty fan. If you guys are coming out to the show, come find me. We'll get you the hookup with everything Paradise Kitty you don't already have, which is pretty much everything because the girls love you guys too. Anyway, that's it for us here this morning. It's getting close to the 10 o'clock hour, so we're going to go ahead and move on with our day. But thank you guys for tuning in this morning. I know it's early. For the last hour and 10 minutes or so. Again, check out everything tonight. Snapboy Sports Bar. Talking about the world of sports. Dad's Not Always Wrestling, the top 10 tag teams of the 21st century. And then we'll be going on the rest of the week here across the multiverse. He's the Renegade. I'm the Meech. You feel better? I'm going to go get me some Starbucks. Have a good day, everybody.